All right, let's get started. Ahaya Basham Yeshaya Wawarach. Shalom Barakatha. Welcome to Word War 3. Your reference today would be Leviticus 26, verse 40. The iniquities of the fathers. Many of you think you are given clemency from the past crimes of your forefathers, and even your parents sitting next to you. You think the God of the Bible will be lenient with mercy because you are not your ancestors. Your protest is you are not doing the evils of your forefathers. The very modern science you trust will prove you wrong. Here we go. The God, meaning power of the Hebrews, the God of Israel, as your Jesus proclaimed, is a God of the living and not of the dead. This God of Israel tells you from the beginning what your ending will be like. Tucked at the beginning of the 10 Commandments is a promising visit from the iniquities of your forefathers. He's going to visit the iniquities of your forefathers upon you. The United States slave trafficking masters fought a civil war for holding the Judeans they call Negro slaves. Noted as the biggest slaughter in U.S. history, today the iniquity of the constitutional founding fathers have come by way of automatic taxation and peonage, aka white privilege. You have put your pride and prejudice in the patriotic acts of your constitutional founding fathers. Remember that. You European Edomites do this on a regular basis. And not just you, but all other colorful peoples on the Office of Budget Management list of nationalities. We find in the Old Testament Acts of the Kings, 2 Kings 14:16, King Joash II of the Northern Kingdom of Israel, a descendant of King David, obeyed the laws of Moses and did not kill the children of murderers, those who killed his father, making reference to Moses' law issued to all Israelites in Deuteronomy 24, verse 16. See, you Christians will immediately come to this scripture like this and think the children had gotten away from the punishment of their forefathers. This message would then fall on deaf ears. The Most High has commanded against murder. So the murderers of the king, his father, were killed, leaving the children alone. Again, there is a difference between murder and kill. Don't get those lost in translation. The prophet Job, who is the master of resurrection and rebirth, meaning regeneration of the spirit, explains the generational curse perfectly in Job 21, verse 19. Are you ready, you faithful Bible believers? The God, meaning power, of the Hebrew Israelites looks at you according to what you do and your forefathers did in the past. A generation can be 2 or more people before you who taught a culture and you believe in what you trust today. In Isaiah chapter 43, I challenge you to read the entire chapter. The first father, who was Adam, his sins are upon us. When you look to modern science, they tell you death or degeneration is inherited from your parents. Men used to live up to 969 years old, as the case of Methuselah, the grandfather of our father Noah, the deluge navigator. When you go down the lineage of fathers, age is diminished. That means health and all other living functions that maintain your stay on earth are gone. They're leaving, they're depleting. Now what's your hope of life expectancy? Ask your forefathers. In Genesis 48, verse 9, Jacob, who later lives to be 147 years old, tells the Pharaoh over the Egyptians his pilgrimage, meaning world or circle of influence, is a small percentage compared to the lives of his forefathers. The sins of his fathers are attached to him whether he liked it or not. This generational or cultural curse is also found in New Testament testimony of the disciples of your Jesus Christ. The disciples asked their kinsman redeemer in John chapter 9 verse 2, who sinned? Why is this man born blind? They're asking him. In this case, and similar to Job's tragic loss of his children, it is God's will and testimony that the children of Jacob Israel know the generational curse continues to apply today. Why is this man in need of eyeglasses? They asking Jesus. They wouldn't have asked your Jesus if his parents' sins didn't follow him. Now, to sum this up, your resurrection, your afterlife, your rebirth, which is fully described in Holy Scriptures, depends on what your fathers did and how you act today. One last challenge of correction is to read the laws of Moses in Leviticus chapter 26, verse 40. Read it, the entire chapter. This is a law for the children of Jacob Israel. It hasn't changed. Tamushi's war, the curse of Tippecanoe, look it up, was a generational curse on United States presidents for dealing wickedly like treaties and stuff like that, an encroachment purchase treaty with the indigenous Hebrews near Fort Wayne, Indiana. Big Brother Tamushi prophesied the death of zero-year presidents. Excuse my language. I'm getting it in there. They later created Indian schools to relieve you, Hebrews, of your powers. This final note, all 7 presidents who died on 0 years were dealing with indigenous Hebrew issues. Remember that. All of you still don't know the power of God's people. Wake up, my Hebrew brothers and sisters, to you Native Americans, you Yingas, you Latinos, also Yingas, you mulattoes and Negroes, you Ingas, as proclaimed by your forefathers, scattered in diaspora, brought to you by Indigenous Hebrew Israelite Awakening, your brother of conscientious objection, Ruach Mahalak, Windwalker out.